What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Late Round Fantasy Football Show for Week 5. And I cannot think of a better week for you to be watching this show because we have all sorts of injuries. We have all sorts of question marks. It's the start of bye week as well. So we need you, and let's be honest, you need us. It's a Late Round Fantasy Football Show sponsored by DraftKings. All right, welcome in David Kitchen alongside JJ. JJ, how are you doing today?
Had a horrible Thursday night of football. From like an analysis perspective.
Okay,
save
that analysis because it's the first bullet point for the news section.
Well, we can get yes, it was a rough night from an analysis perspective. I've already apologized to patrons this morning. I always just feel bad whenever I get stuff wrong. I was just really wrong, about that game. We'll get into it. But yes, I've had better nights from a primetime game perspective.
Honestly, if we can take away this rugged exterior that I have and I can be just honest, I would say that's one of my favorite things about you is that you care. Like when you get things right, obviously it's like a high, but when things don't go as you predicted, or as you rank them, it upsets you. Like it's not like they can deal with it.
Legitimately, I'm watching the game last night. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I mean, and even like I'm in the live game banter channel all the time during games, within our Discord.
Yeah.
And I love the Rams defense. Like I loved the Rams defense last night. I don't know how you couldn't on paper. They checked every freaking box on paper, but Kyle Shanahan was in his bag. I mean, he called an unbelievable game, and he made me look like an absolute moron.
As someone who was forced because of Caleb Williams, I was forced to stream Mac Jones. I was like, oh, this is a pleasant, like by halftime, he had already outdone like his whole game projection. So whatever we got after that was was good.
At least I did have Matthew Stafford as a streamer this week. So at least that worked out.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm still mad that you didn't call the Kyren Williams 8 catch game. How many catches did he have?
I don't know. I think he had 10 targets in the game. I mean, that's been
unreal.
One of the craziest, one of the weirdest parts of this season is that Kyren Williams is getting by via receiving. Like that's how, and look, he's always had that in his arsenal. It's just that they haven't deployed him that way, and they haven't had a high target share for running backs in years. And I don't know where it's at exactly right now. But just given the way that offense operates, I don't think it's going to that's probably his highest target share / target total he's going to see all season. But it's been a really weird year for Kyren Williams because the things that we were a little bit nervous about are happening where Blake Corum is getting more work. I think last night happened because of Blake Corum fumbled and then he dropped a pass and it was just a really bad game for him. But I mean, like Kyren's getting there because the offense is good. I've actually oddly been higher than the market in my rest of season rankings with Kyren Williams since the start of the season, basically since like week 2. I was like 1 or 2 running back spots below the market entering the season, but just a weird year for Kyren overall.
Yeah, I'm hoping that Jarquez Hunter somehow comes out of this because of the Corum stuff. Anyways, look at us just trying to withhold our thoughts.
Stop talking
about
ball,
Thursday
man.
Night football. Yeah,
I can't stop talking ball. That's just where my mindset's at right now. I had to go for a walk today. I was telling you before we hopped on, I had to go for a walk. I usually try to get like a long walk in once or twice a week, and then I'll ride the bike other days. I'll weight lift other days, whatever. I try to move, at least once a day. And today I was like, I'm not feeling that good today. I've got some sinus stuff going on. And so I'm like, all right, I'm just going to go for a long walk. And I had to just tune out everything football. I turned on a podcast about The Challenge, which is my guilty pleasure show. And I escaped completely. I was just completely for an hour and like 15 minutes, just walked 5 miles and I felt great. And, now I'm a little bit more energized than I was this morning. Cause during our one-on-one this morning, I was kind of feeling it. I wasn't feeling great.
Yeah, I was a little bit nervous. You were kind of like a game time decision, but you're here, you're toughing it out. We got, you're not out like many people are. Just a reminder, this is an interactive show. So whether it be during the show, any comments that you have, any comments, if it could be like, what's up kitchen from Samir, or Brennan saying, need a lot of Isaiah Davis love the stream boys. Don't let me down. Or PT saying, never doubt my boy Mac Jones. No lie though, I am scared of Vanderbilt tomorrow. That is I would be scared of too if I was an Alabama fan. All right, so let's just set the table real quick. We got our weekly rankings, our Q&A, the chat that's been going off, and the banter, the tilting, everything going on, and the Discord is good. So join us, lateround.com, and come hang out with us. It's fun most of the times. And then also want to shout out our sponsor, DraftKings. DraftKings, you can get in the description and see where you can deposit, get a $5 ticket, and play your heart out as far as DFS. They got the Pick 6 contest. They got all sorts of stuff in the promo section as well. So shout out to DraftKings for sponsoring the show. There's always the QR code that JJ loves in the corner. And with that being said, JJ, are you ready? Because this might be like the biggest news that we've had.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Today's fantasy news.
All right, first, JJ, let's talk about that game last night. Were you upset at all?
Yeah, my reaction to that game, WTF is my reaction. I don't know, man. I mean, if I just were to brain vomit, I think that Mac Jones is a capable, backup, and he's going to be able to work in the Shanahan offense. And the one thing that I think I discounted was sort of his ability to just understand an offense and get the ball out quick and just do his job. The Rams are really good at getting the quarterback, and they could not get to Mac Jones last night at all. And it's because I didn't see his time, average time of throw or to throw numbers, but I would assume it was pretty low. They just kept running the same route to Kendrick Bourne, and they couldn't stop it over and over and over again. And that was their game plan. Obviously, they're going to ride Christian McCaffrey, and they did ride McCaffrey. But it was just a really disappointing performance by the Rams defense. I'm disappointed by what we saw from Blake Corum, because obviously he drops that toss, which I think was still credited to Matthew Stafford as a fumble, because it was never in Corum's possession. I believe that's the case. But regardless, he drops that toss, he drops a screen, unlike the next drive or two drives later. I thought Kyren looked good. I think both of them have looked pretty good this season. If you watch last night, you're not necessarily seeing that or thinking that. But I don't think that anything's going to really change with Kyren Williams' usage. I know that he fumbled at the goal line. He's had fumbling issues, but Sean McVay really likes Kyren Williams. I would love to see Jarquez Hunter get run, but I think that this is going to be sort of a redshirt year, like what they did with Blake Corum. I know Corum was hurt a little bit last year, but I don't know. I think that they are fine and satisfied with what they have in that backfield enough, even though they had kind of questionable plays last night. And then, Puka's doing Puka things. Puka is, to me, the best player in fantasy football. I think he's the best player in Dynasty. I'm doing the Dynasty update right now, the rankings update, and I think he's the 101 in Dynasty. You're getting a historic season from him. I think we all would agree that he's just going to do that this year as long as he's healthy. And you can't really put a price on that. And
when you're using Devontae Adams to clear out guys for his 1 yard touchdown, it might just be his year.
And the crazy thing is Devontae Adams has been great too, and
he almost had that touchdown at the end. I thought he might, I told you I needed that. But he's been good. If you think though about that game last night, because I thought at the end, I'm like, the Rams are going to come back and win this.
Yeah.
Right. But you think about how close it was and all the things that went wrong for the Rams. Fumble on the goal line, Cardi being terrible as far as extra point miss, field goal miss, kicking the ball out of bounds, and then the Corum fumble, all that stuff that had to go wrong. Mac Jones getting hurt and coming back, when his pants got pulled down, I thought, oh, okay, it's done.
Yeah,
he's toast.
Yeah,
you see.
I mean,
his pants
I think everyone when Mac Jones went down in that game was like, oh, well, okay, that was fun for 3 quarters. But
he went down a couple of times. The first time,
dude, he looked like his body had just gone through running an ultra marathon or something.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah.
But he popped back up. So kudos
I
to Matt Jones.
I think we're gonna see, them take their time with Brock Purdy. And the nice part about the Mac Jones thing is, I don't know how much standalone value he's gonna necessarily have because he's a pocket passer and he's a backup still. And I do think that they just had the right game plan in that particular game. They do get Tampa Bay next week though, and so I do think he could be a streamer. But the nice part is that with Ricky Pearsall, Jawan Jennings, George Kittle coming back potentially next week, we feel better about them in fantasy. So that's good to have like a very reasonable backup situation in San Francisco where honestly, it's probably like 95% of what Brock Purdy would do. It's really not that big of a difference.
Yeah. El also said return of the Mac game for sure. Fun fact, whenever I broke up with my first girlfriend, that was my theme song back in 7th grade.
Your theme song for breaking up.
Well, I think she broke up with me, but
no, I'm saying like you had a theme song for actually breaking up, or you're saying that was your theme song post breakup?
Like post breakup.
Yeah, like you were coming back and
return of the
yeah,
ladies, so
you were really cool.
Yeah, I was. You think I'm cool now? All right, let's get on to lots of injury news. I don't know how much time we have for all this, but just to kind of recap where we are in week 5 and what your reaction is for people that don't know. The worst kind of neighbor is a hurt and injured Malik Neighbors. So
yeah,
you're sad.
I'm sad. He's just one of the best players in football. And, I had him on teams. I'm sure everyone listening to this have him on teams. I had him, 2 of my best dynasty team and my best redraft team both had Malik Neighbors. And it's, that's the way it goes in fantasy football. You hopefully can, like I have Diggs stepping in and he's sort of like, let's hope that he can have this resurgence after the first month of the season. We saw it a little bit last week, but regardless of all that, it's just really sad. Jackson Dart, I wanted to see what we had in him to, like to see everything, with a fully healthy, group and pass catching group. We're not going to see that. Unfortunately, I think the Giants offense is just not going to be very pass friendly. Darius Slayton's fine. Wan'Dale Robinson's fine. But again, I don't think people are grounding themselves enough to the fact that this is likely not going to be like a high volume, lots of passing yards, passing offense, even though I do like Jackson Dart quite a bit. They're probably going to be pretty conservative with it. And he also runs the ball too. And so, I love what the Giants are doing. I think that they have like a really good, like fun offense and good vibes team. But it sucks. Yeah. It's just a sad thing that we're dealing with Malik Neighbors.
Okay. Then you got the Dolphins, their offense reeked, with Tyreek being out. And again, another one where we saw him kind of start to be not like vintage Reek, but like serviceable for your fantasy team.
Very serviceable. That's the thing that sucks about this is that like, I for instance, I do the Kings Classic League, and you were there for the drafts this year, in Canton at the Hall of Fame. And I drafted 2 teams. You do a snake draft and then an auction draft. Who won the snake league last year?
You did, pal.
Oh, that's right.
You did.
That's right. Okay. But I drafted Tyreek Hill in both of them, not on purpose. I got stuck with him in the auction.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to diversify a little bit more, but I felt good about having Tyreek after, week 2-ish, week into week 3 and whatnot. And I think that the people who faded him are very lucky that they faded him because he was going to be a good value, given he was going in like mid 3, the middle of the 3rd round into the 4th round in some drafts. And this was just a freak injury. It's not like you were fading Tyreek Hill because you thought his knee was going to detach from his body,
Right.
And so now I think that we're going to see what Jalen Waddle's made of. This is the upside case for Waddle. I think there's a chance that Waddle could be a top 20 guy rest of season if things really hit, but I'm not going to hold my breath just because that offensive line still has a lot of issues.
Yeah, Malik Washington went for $59 in the out of 100 in their stack league by Mr. Ben Gretsch.
Yeah, I've heard
that.
That's been going around. I mean, look, I like Malik Washington. I liked him coming out. Really good yak player. When you watch the Dolphins, sometimes when he has the ball, you're like, he kind of looks a little bit like Tyreek, like when he's doing stuff after the catch. Now, obviously, Tyreek is a better route runner, gets more separation, and is just a better wide receiver. Malik has still been more of a manufactured touch kind of player, more of a slot guy. But maybe he steps up too. Like I got him in some leagues. You could have gotten him. I got him off the waiver wire in some leagues for less than $10. I mean, people weren't really that aggressive. I personally liked Malik Washington more than Darius Slayton off the wire this week, just because I think that there's more of that like ambiguous upside. We kind of know what we're getting with Darius Slayton. Then, like I said, we kind of have a cap ceiling more than likely with the Giants passing attack.
All right. Now we've got the Washington Commanders passing attack. If you can tell, this is these news items are grouped by position. So Terry Scarried, he's out again this week. Scary Terry is, and Debo, I guess we're waiting to see what happens today in practice, but he wasn't practicing yesterday either.
Yeah, I'm still expecting Debo to go, but we don't know for sure, like you said. So if he doesn't, like there's gonna be this is the way I see it. I think that there are two like 1-to-1 replacements for each of these players. So for Terry McLaurin, it would be Noah Brown, but Noah Brown's hurt also. And so I think it's going to be Chris Moore, who's kind of been in the league for a while. He's a veteran player, but last week, Chris Moore, only a 9% target share, but he had an 87% route share, which is really strong. He ran basically like twice as many routes as Luke McCaffrey and Jalen Lane. I think Jalen Lane is the Debo replacement more so because he's the same kind of like, I mean, I've talked about him before, like yards after the catch, manufactured touch, not unlike a Malik Washington in a way, but like really dynamic, like a really special athlete. But I don't know how good, like he's kind of raw as a real wide receiver. And so I think that they drafted him with Debo in mind and with that sort of like playmaking ability in mind. But I think if you're talking about like a true perimeter guy that's going to replace Terry McLaurin, Chris Moore is kind of a sleeper this week. I actually, in that same Kings Classic League where I lost Jawan Jennings, I lost Tyreek Hill, Roma Dunze's on bye, Matthew Golden's on bye. It's a really, really deep league. I have to start Chris Moore. So yeah, that's how deep we're talking in this league. I mean, some of the players that people are starting is just like vomit inducing. It's really, really bad. But yeah, I mean, like I think Moore is a reasonable, really deep sleeper this week based on his route share last week, and Jaden Daniels is back this week, so they should get a little bit more going through the air.
All right, keeping it a buck. That's what the kids say. So keeping it a bucky. Irving, he's out this week.
Yeah,
confirmed. And now we see what Rachaad White's made of, and Mr. Tucker.
Yeah, I'm excited about Sean. This is low key a very like JJ brand week with the running back position because there's two guys.
Rico.
Yeah, Rico. Yeah, that's true. Rico's coming with Chuba. You have Isaiah Davis stepping in for Braylon Allen. I love Isaiah Davis. And then Sean Tucker, I'm a huge fan of with Bucky Irving in this Buccaneers backfield. But make no mistake, guys, I'm going to actually talk about it when we get to the main event. Rachaad White is going to be their 1A pretty comfortably, I would assume. But I do think Sean Tucker is a very good and underrated player, which is why you should at least have him on your. I have to also start Sean Tucker on that same team. Sean Tucker and Chris Moore.
You might just need to take your L for the weekend.
I don't know. I got CMC. I'm still a 50-50 proposition with what I have going. So because I have Javonte Williams on that team too. But yeah, I think Sean Tucker is more of a desperation type play, even though like, let's just be pleasantly surprised if they use him more than we expect.
Yeah. Jason says, basically, Jason, I couldn't say what Cam Ward said because this is a family show, but that's where I learned where keeping it a buck, what it means. Yeah. Because he said it. He said,
how you feeling about Cam Ward over there?
You know, every time I see an infograph about quarterback play, it's like, the quadrant, and he is on just like one corner of the quadrant, whatever that is.
He's on his own planet right now.
Yeah, it's generally just him alone. So not great, but also they're not doing him any favors. I'll say that. So
I'll tell you what, how many quarterbacks for the team that drafted them turn things around for the team that drafted. let's say the season's over and you're saying they didn't do him any favors. How many quarterbacks do we say that for that end up like being good franchise quarterbacks?
Not a lot, but again, this is such a historically bad coaching staff, and the pass catchers and everything else, and we're starting to look at lots of rumors as far as McCarthy coming to the Tennessee, or and Mike McDaniel being the offensive coordinator.
We'll see.
Now, if that happens,
we'll see.
Pants will be off. That's all I'm saying. All right, let's get to the next one. Rico Suave.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it's this is gonna be really bad actually. I'm gonna say RB1 Co.
Okay,
for Rico, right?
No, you can say that. Yeah.
I think that he is gonna be way undervalued by the season. Like I already heard I was actually scrolling TikTok like an hour ago and I saw a random creator on there saying that they're going to play Rico Dowdle like around the Rashad White range or whatever. No, Rico Dowdle for me is a fringe RB1 and how I'm ranking him this week. I think that he's going to see a lot of the work in that backfield and they get a good matchup against Miami. So I'm excited about Rico, and I'm very excited for my best ball bags because if any of you guys listen to Becoming a Best Ball Bro, I drafted a lot of Rico Dowdle this year.
Yeah, like for all the running backs that I drafted late that did not pop in those early teams, talking about Jalen Wright, Roshan Johnson, and Marshawn Lloyd. Those are the three. Those are the big ones.
Yeah.
For as much as I drafted them, I did not. You and I both relatively light on Connor and Chuba.
Yeah.
So this certainly helps things, but we wish those guys the best. Another guy that I had a lot of on some of those teams, Trey Benson. What are you doing, bud? Like you just got the nod, you know, and then he's out. And now we've got to decide what we're going to do with this running back split. We had someone just post in the NFL News and Rumors actual channel in the Discord a quote from Jonathan Gannon talking about the running back snap, saying, "We'll see. They'll all have their roles. They'll maximize their opportunities." So there you go.
Very helpful. I have Michael Carter over Amari DiMercato. I think they're like a tier apart. I do think technically DiMercato like would have a higher ceiling because if they do use him on the ground a lot or like a decent amount, even if it's like a 40-60 split, he'll get the receiving work. And so obviously then he would be a little bit more valuable. But I think that our evidence points to Amari DiMercato being more of that satellite, third down back, hurry up back. A lot of people look at what happened last week and there's this like notion when this stuff happens, they're like, well, Amari DiMercato has been playing ahead of Michael Carter. So therefore, he would be the one that we would add. But there's a lot of situations across the league where some players don't dress because they're not special teamers. And some players don't dress because they don't have that specific role on that team. Like a really good example of this would be if Derrick Henry were to get hurt, Justice Hill would see a spike and a little bit of a spike, but Keaton Mitchell would be the one who would step in and probably get more early down work still than Justice Hill. Even though Keaton Mitchell's not the one that's been dressed and playing, right? So I think it's a similar situation here where I think Michael Carter probably sees 65% of the team's rushing work and running back rushes. And then obviously if he's playing more on first and second down, he'll still see some work through the air. And then DiMercato would play 2-minute hurry up stuff. But this week in particular, they get Tennessee. They're huge favorites. Tennessee's been really good for running backs to score. Yeah.
It's the first time someone said Tennessee's been really good.
Nothing's good about Tennessee. But they've been good for running backs in terms of allowing fantasy points, even when adjusted for strength of opponent. And obviously a lot of that has to do with the fact that they're in these certain game scripts, but they're likely to be in that kind of game script again this week. And so I think that does favor Michael Carter a little bit more, which is why, I think Carter is more of the flex. And then I'd put DiMercato like one tier below that.
Yeah. Okay. Call him the Brees. We've got Braylon Allen out possibly 8 to 12 weeks.
Yeah.
Is what they're saying. Yeah.
I think that Isaiah Davis needs to be added in more. He's only rostered in like 4% of Yahoo leagues right now. He needs to be rostered in way more. he was really effective. I don't even know how to talk right now. Efficient.
That's
and
effective and efficient
Yes.
combined.
Yes, combined.
Yeah.
You guys know my brain goes faster than my mouth oftentimes. And so I think Isaiah Davis last year was really an underrated player. I didn't think that he was anything worse, any worse than what Braylon Allen showed.
Yeah.
I think that what the Jets had was like, they're like, we want to have a hammer in Braylon Allen to complement Breece Hall. And Braylon Allen doesn't play nearly as big as his actual size. Like he's not as good of a running back, I think, as his like frame would suggest and as his body of work would suggest. But he himself, there's still room to grow. He's only like 21 years old right now. But I liked Isaiah Davis coming out last year. You guys might remember I was kind of pissed off whenever the Jets drafted both of these guys because I didn't mind Braylon Allen either. I wanted them to at least get some opportunity in like separate spots. But now I think Isaiah Davis is going to see that opportunity. He's more of a pass catcher than Braylon Allen. They could realistically just more comfortably rotate Breece Hall and Isaiah Davis than I think they could with Braylon Allen and Breece Hall. So I'm into Isaiah Davis. Great matchup this week against Dallas. I think that he could be considered like a desperation flex if you need something.
Yeah. But that Breece Hall exposure, though, aren't you so glad now that you wrote that newsletter or that email that you did?
Where I talked about how everyone's fading Breece Hall, but let's not totally fade Breece Hall. That one.
And then at the end, you're like, I don't even know. I think the conclusion I came to is like, he has upside. And I was like, well, let's just put that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's exactly what's happened.
Yeah. I mean, like, I think Breece is good. Like, he's still like last week, there were definitely times, I think it was after like he kind of rolled his ankle a little bit down the sideline. He looked a little bit slower. And there's been times where like he's done that, where he's just kind of like not looked like, year one or like pre ACL, even some of the plays post ACL Breece Hall. But I still think he's really good. And that's why I didn't want to fade. I don't want to fade really, really good players, like there are some guys where I am okay with like full fading. Like I full faded Jerry Jeudy this year, because we had a large, number of years of him being a pretty mid wide receiver, or at least not like an elite one from a fantasy perspective. So that makes me feel a little bit more comfortable kind of going through and doing that. Whereas there's going to be like soft fades, like a Kyron or a Zay Flowers or something like that, where I'm still going to draft them in certain spots, but they're talented enough where I don't want a full fade because and Breece Hall was like that, where, I mean, I was more at market just because everyone else started to just say no to Breece Hall. So I'm like, all right, I guess I'm going to get a little haul. But yes, in these instances, I'm very glad that I wrote an email like that. It makes me feel good that I covered my bases and people knew where I stood before the season started.
Yeah, because at that point, people were just tanking him. So good job by you. Just bringing a little bit of, hey,
level. We just need some level-headedness.
Some level-headedness.
Yeah.
Late round level-headedness. All right. Titans find a new weapon, and that is Spears.
Is he officially back?
He's coming back. He was limited yesterday. I think he was out there today in today's practice. So if he's not out there this week, he'll be out there next week. But certainly helps the Titans when he comes back.
So my reaction that I put down here is Pollard sell, because when I did my rest of season rankings, he was still being ranked like as if nothing's happening with this backfield, where clearly something's happening with this backfield. If Tajay Spears is back, that's going to limit Tony Pollard's volume, and that's in an offense that's not going to score much. And so he needs that volume. We can actually look at a chart in today's data that'll show this a little bit more, but he's not even seeing like that much work as a receiver. I think Spears is fine to stash right now, but I do worry about like, they're not really targeting the running back position that much. I do think that Spears like is a dynamic player and probably more dynamic than Tony Pollard, whereas Pollard is just a little bit more solid. And we know that what we're getting with him and out of him. And so in a situation where Tennessee's offense isn't going to give you a lot, you might need the playmaker a little bit more. You might need the Tajay Spears a little bit more. And so I would say that Spears is kind of interesting from that perspective. I just have a really hard time going with either one of these running backs in such a putrid offense. What are the chances that these guys are, I mean, they're just handcuffs for one another.
Yeah.
Like Pollard can still be usable. Don't get me wrong, but I just mean like a true, RB2 type ceiling consistently. You're probably going to need an injury to the other guy.
Speaking of running backs, I enjoyed the running back conversation today with your perspectives guest, Mr. James Coe.
Yeah, with what part did you enjoy?
The running back discussion, like where he's talking about
Yeah.
outside runs, like that.
Yeah.
That stuff was.
He definitely he's been doing a lot of work with the running back stuff, and it's definitely something him bringing up the outside. I said it on the show, but it's like, what are I'm obviously thinking about like what the inputs are to these outside runs, and obviously like it's the zone schemes that he was referencing. That Kubiak tree, the Shanahan tree. And then there's obviously like the speed and athleticism component to it. But then he made the point, he was just like, okay, but they're just doing it. It's like, okay, that's true. We don't need to like necessarily like dig into the inputs so much as we just need to know who's doing it. And so I do think it's something that a lot of people should be, I'll probably dig into over the next week or so.
Okay. We got to move a little bit quicker with this. So let's group the quarterbacks together. Browns, they shocked the world by naming a new quarterback. They never do this. And then Ravens, man, it's gonna be tough for them. So what's your thoughts on Cooper Rush this week and then Dylan Gabriel?
I'm excited to see Dylan Gabriel play. I think he can be a distributor, and I think that they might see a little bit more lower ADOT, like not as much aggression within their offense, which is going to help a guy like Harold Fannin a little bit. So I'm going to say I think this actually might help Fannin. So I'm going to say Fannin up. And then Cooper Rush, I think everyone is down. Lamar Jackson's arguably the best quarterback in football, and when he's out, that's going to hurt everyone in the offense. I mean, we might see a little bit more passing volume, like that could happen, which sounds backwards and weird, but we obviously know that game script and Lamar being able to run the ball means less passing volume. But yeah, I mean, it's Cooper Rush. Like it's hard to get really excited.
Okay, and then the tight end position, we had just had word that Jatavian Sanders out again this week, but really the good news may be bad news. The bad news is the whole Brock Bowers situation. He's still clearly limited with this knee injury, but the good news is that we got so many streamers this week.
We have a lot of streamers. Yeah, it's a good, I'll say a good streaming week for these tight ends. I said WEC. I'm not even gonna fix that typo. We're just gonna leave.
You always say that, and you always go back and you fix it.
Yeah, I'm gonna fix it. It's a good streaming week for tight ends. I think Michael Mayer would just join the club if Brock Bowers were to be out. So
yeah, he was out last week. I don't know even know if he's gonna be back this week.
Yeah, I don't know. So, I would just keep tabs on it.
Yeah, and you've talked earlier in this week also, especially in the Q&A, we talked about a lot of tight end options. All right, well, that's all the news, JJ. So let's get on to the next big thing.
Today's data.
Kind of a Christian McCaffrey chart that I put together for today's data. I actually didn't even put last night's numbers in here. But this is on the x-axis, you have running back rush share per game, and on the y-axis, you have target share per game. Obviously, this is more visual, and so you should be watching on YouTube to be able to see this. If you're listening and just, in the podcast feed, you can obviously just go to the YouTube show. But I do think it's interesting to kind of bucket these players as I call workhorses, players who see a lot of work on the ground, but not as much through the air. And then bell cows are like the true 3-down, guys seeing like a lot of work on the ground and the air and through the air. And then obviously there's the just general pass catchers, the pass catching specialists. And then there's just the inconsistent usage players. That's the bottom left quadrant. And I do think that it captures like the archetypes of these players really well, even just by like looking at the snapshot. Now you're going to get like David Montgomery as an inconsistent usage player. And we know that the offense can elevate him to being a more friendly fantasy running back, but players that are in
he
there,
isn't. I mean, last week he proved he can be inconsistent.
Right. Like you have some rookies in there that hopefully they start to move towards the right a little bit more, like Woody Marks and RJ Harvey and stuff. But like Isaiah Pacheco is in that inconsistent usage. You have Zach Charbonnet in there. Kareem Hunt, Chris Rodriguez, Tyler Algier, and then you move to the right, and this is where I was talking about Tony Pollard. Look at Tony Pollard's running back rush share. Like it's crazy. But he's not seeing that much work through the air. And that's where, like, if Tajay Spears is there, then it's capping his ceiling even more for that growth. It's just not going to be there. And then you look at Christian McCaffrey up in the top, and it's like, like his usage is just out of control. He has like a 30%, almost a 30% running back or target share in per game in that San Francisco offense. But the other players in that bell cow bucket are Devon Achane, Breece Hall, Saquon Barkley. DeAndre Swift is probably a surprise one, but we know that he's seeing a lot of work in his backfield. Jalen Warren. It's just an interesting chart to kind of look at through 4 weeks and say, here's how these teams are deploying these backs, and here's how we can kind of categorize these players.
Yeah, Chase Brown kind of in that Tony Pollard bucket as far as like the offense not being great right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like what is a big,
just a little bit more. The difference with him and Pollard is that he will see more work through the air. And I'm calling it right now. I should have made this a bold prediction. I think Cincinnati has a chance to be a lot better offensively this week than they have been the last 2.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was going to be on the Titans side. And I was like, what?
No, definitely not Titans. No.
Titans beat the Cardinals this week. My thing is like everyone is if this is not a good week for Browning, you're going to see panic. People are already claiming like just wanting Jameis Winston to be there in Cincinnati. Like that's how things are right now.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it on Perspectives. How I had sort of a vibes take, but you get Minnesota. You're on the road the last 2 weeks. Cincinnati's on the road the last 2 weeks. They get Minnesota, and Minnesota's coming off a really bad loss against Atlanta. And obviously Minnesota has a good defense. Then they get Denver. Denver's coming off a really sad loss against the Chargers. And obviously the Broncos have a good defense. And I do think there's like a human element to football where these teams are like, okay, we got to do this. Like we've all played team sports before. And I'm not one of those like analytical analysts who are like, there's no such thing as, momentum. I don't think it's I think that momentum's the wrong way to phrase it. I think it's just being in a flow state. Right. And like you can, if you have played any sport before, that you personally can be in that flow state where you're just draining every 3, where you're hitting every pass, like everything's just working for you. And yes, it's a little bit different in football because there's 11 different people that need to come together to do things. But on a singular play, you don't necessarily need all 11 to hit at the same time. Like one guy can not be playing that well on offense or something, and the offense is still cooking, So
yeah, I believe in the squeaky wheel narrative where a guy like Jamar Chase, if it's going to happen for him, it's going to be this week. That's my thing.
Yeah. I mean, part of that's just like natural regression. And like, this is when people talk about like, do you ever go with your gut, JJ? And I'm like, your gut is inherently doing calculations about what you're seeing and absorbing and analyzing. So I don't think your gut is something that's completely independent of analytics and, like knowledge. I don't think it's just like, yeah, I'm going to throw a dart. That's what my gut's saying. No, your gut is literally internalizing all these different inputs. You just can't comprehend it consciously. Maybe we're getting way too deep here. But I do think that this is all really necessary to throw out there so that people know where I'm coming from as like a analytical and a numbers driven analyst. I'm not just someone who only looks at spreadsheets with this stuff. I think that's silly.
From intelligent guts to the main event.
The late round main event.
Okay, we're going to start with players you like more than consensus this week, and starting with Justin Fields.
I mentioned it on the sleeper show. I said I think you can rank Justin Fields all the way up to QB2. I haven't ranked as QB2 this week. I mean, maybe that's aggressive. I do have him in a tier with other guys, so I could, if you want Jaden Daniels or whomever, that's fine. But Fields gets the Cowboys this week, and his 2 completed games this year, he scored 29.5 and 27.1 standard fantasy points. Dallas is the best team for quarterbacks by adjusted points allowed. They're giving up 93 more yards than what would be expected of them based on their early season schedule and performance of these quarterbacks. So, I mean, you look at their game, their team total, it's like 22.5 points for the Jets this week. I think on paper, it makes sense to be really high on Justin Fields this week. I mean, anything's possible from a results standpoint, but I think process-wise, you should like him.
I'm in one like normie league with like not my home league, not analyst, just it's a normie league that I joined one of my friends, and I was able to pick up Justin Fields, who had cleared the waiver wire. Yeah, because I had Lamar Jackson, and I'm just like, it was so refreshing to me.
Yeah,
in a very frustrating waiver wire week where I'm just getting outbid by everybody. There's nobody who's like is sneaking by.
Yeah.
I was like, man, this is nice.
You need to play. I think everyone should experience all types of leagues, like in terms of like in their portfolio every single year. Like I talked about the Kings Classic one where I'm going to have to start Chris freaking Moore and Sean Tucker.
Yeah.
And then, I'm going to go to a home league that I'm in, a local league where some of them are actually kind of deep, but then there's others that are like, oh, I can just get this guy off waiver. Like I picked up Jake Ferguson in a tight end premium league off waivers in a league. And like 2 weeks
for
ago.
A tight end premium league.
Yeah, in a tight end premium league. Jake, I was like, why did this happen? And so I just picked him up and I have Dak and I have this stack now of Dak and Jake Ferguson. And it's phenomenally fun. Like it's a good time. Yeah, I think you need those kinds of leagues to like, be like, okay, I can see, if I miss out on something, like there's some leagues where you miss out on like $1 or $2 on the hot waiver guy. Like you can just get them for free in those other leagues.
Okay, running back, you got Rashad White, and you even with Bucky out, you have your rank for him higher than everybody else.
I do. I'm a little bit, concerned that it's probably a little bit too high. So take this all with a grain of salt. It's really just a volume thing. I do think he's going to be comfortably the 1A in that backfield this week, but I still think Sean Tucker should be added because we could be pleasantly surprised. And I also think Tucker's really, really good. So, if Bucky misses next week, then we would feel more confident in playing Tucker, unless you're in that crazy league like mine where I have to start him. But I think he's going to see the most work in Tampa Bay in the backfield. They can run the ball really effectively just as a team. The matchup isn't like great or horrible on paper, but he has the clear pass catching role. I would assume he sees the goal line work as well. I just think that it's a solid enough play, and I don't want to overthink it too much.
Okay, you got Keenan Allen.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised that he's not ranked higher, just given how well he's performed so far this year. So, the Chargers have a 25.5 point implied team total against Washington. This is one of the games where, like, would you be shocked if it shoots out a little bit? If it's a high scoring game. The offensive line issues for the Chargers might force some of those like lower ADOT looks, which is going to help a player like Keenan Allen more than like a Quentin Johnston, and then Ladd McConkey would be helped a little bit too. He's run about 45% of his routes from the slot this season, and Washington is 9th in adjusted slot target share allowed to wide receivers. So like that's good. I like Ladd McConkey this week too. Like I know I said that last week and it really was a bad call, but this could be the week where like it's not as much QJ, but it's a little bit more Keenan Allen and Ladd just based on what's going on with this offensive line. But we've said that in the past and it's been a QJ week. But yeah, I think Keenan Allen should be ranked a little bit higher this week.
All right, this guy, no stranger to the late round brand, and his mom is just a fantastic human being that we have both met. JJ,
yeah,
Harold
one
Fannin.
of the greatest moms, in this country.
That's high praise. Harold Fannin, you've got tight end 12 compared to tight end 15.
Yeah, I think that you could even go higher with Fannin this week. It's a really fun spot for him because obviously Cedric Tillman being out, I think is going to force them to use a lot more 12 personnel and sort of make Fannin the de facto slot player for this offense. And you're going to have Isaiah Bond on the other side with Jerry Jeudy. And it just so happens they're playing Minnesota, who's allowed the highest slot target share allowed adjusted for strength of opponent in the NFL so far this year. And then on top of that, we know that Fannin is sort of more, he's like the him versus Njoku. He's the crisper route runner. Like he's more of the traditional, like, again, slot player, if you will. Whereas Njoku can kind of stretch the field and do more with his athleticism. I think that's good for Gabriel, where he might be under pressure a little bit in this game because Minnesota has a decent front. He also might just want to be conservative with the ball. So I honestly think this could be a game for Harold Fannin where he catches like 7 balls for 60 or 70 yards, like a really nice floor game from a PPR perspective. At least that's what logic is telling me. But I think that this can go in a lot of different directions still, which is why I'm not going to be too aggressive in where I'm ranking him.
No, look at you applying logic to the Cleveland Browns offense. All right,
Yeah, exactly.
let's move on to bold predictions for this week, starting with Jameson Williams bouncing back big time.
Big time bounce back. Now, I will say Cincinnati has actually not faced a ton of deep balls this season. That could just be that they've seen certain game scripts and stuff. I don't want to look too much into that. We know it's a good matchup. We know JMO has a 100% route share in 3 of 4 games this year. And Cincinnati's a top 5 matchup. Like I said, 4 wide receivers and adjusted points allowed. So we're going to say big JMO week this week against Cincinnati.
Okay, big JMO week and a big Rico week this week.
As I'm saying, man, I think Rico Dowdle can be a top 8 running back because there's a very real chance. I do think they could use some Trevor Etienne, but I think there's a chance that we see Chuba Hubbard week 1 workload for Rico Dowdle. I don't say week 2, 3, or 4 because over the last few weeks, Chuba's been more in that 60%, 60 to 65% running back rush share range. But week 1, I'm talking 80% running back rush share, 11, 12% target share. He's just a bell cow for Carolina this week. And it just so happens to be in a very, very good matchup. And by the way, next week, Carolina gets Dallas. So not only is it a great matchup for Rico if Chuba were to still be out, it's a revenge game, folks. It's a revenge game for Rico Dowdle.
That's right. I didn't even thought about that. I did see that they're playing Dallas next week because it's on your look ahead waiver wire. Let's get to some of these guys and look ahead waiver wire. I want to point out just one thing real quick though, JJ, if I can. There's one name on here that sticks out.
Yeah.
A guy that you have talked about a lot for these waiver wires, look ahead a guy that reminds me kind of Woody Marks. It's not Jaden Blue.
Oh,
it's Brashard Smith.
Oh yeah.
As a guy who keeps on being on this and eventually it's going to happen for him and you're going to be too late. You've missed the bus.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about him a lot. I mean, he was in the draft guide as a late round dart throw and he's another guy. I think I'm also starting him on that team that I was talking about. Oh my
gosh. There's no chance you are 50-50 to win that.
Guys, I will share.
No. The other guy has someone on bye.
I think it's my good friend Jim Coventry, who also has a struggling team based on buys and injuries and all that kind of stuff. So I will show you guys the matchup after we'll look at it next week. We'll take a screenshot of the matchup and see what happened.
Right, I'm probably start with Kendrick Bourne though.
Kendrick Bourne, I mean, we'll see if the wide receiver injuries sustain week over week, and same with George Kittle. He obviously saw a huge workload last night against the Rams. He's going to be in waiver wire columns. I don't know how aggressive you really need to get him, but he's someone to at least pay attention to.
It honestly made me sad for my Juwan Jennings and Ricky Pearsall.
Juwan Jennings would have gone both of them would have gone ballistic last night.
Yeah.
I mean, Kendrick Bourne had a decent game. Don't get me wrong, but like I said,
he had a bad drop, and he had drops the week before that as well.
They're also I'm telling they ran this. I want to see his route chart.
Tree.
Yeah, because it looked like he was just doing the same thing over and over again.
Okay, let's go to the other guy throwing him the balls, Mac Jones.
Yeah, they get Tampa Bay next week, so he could be a streamer. Tampa Bay is generally a plus matchup for quarterbacks.
For Carolina, you have Bryce Young and the guy you just talked about, Trevor Etienne.
I also have Jimmy Horn on here.
You do down here, yeah. Coker. So they just announced Coker's 21-day window is now open to come back.
Yeah. So I have Jimmy Horn on there because David Moore went to IR. Jimmy Horn, actually, the Zap model didn't mind him that much.
Yeah, I know.
And so I'm kind of intrigued to see what he might be able to do. There's kind of a redundancy with Hunter Renfrow and stuff, but maybe he finds the field a little bit. Maybe he surprises. Maybe he does something. This is a deep league play. Same with Trevor Etienne. It's more of a deep league type ad and stash. Just if they give him more work than we expect versus him and Rico Dowdle. And then Bryce Young gets Dallas. I mean, they get Dallas next week, so that's why it's intriguing. Bryce Young against Dallas. Again, Dallas has been unbelievably friendly for fantasy football this year.
I have Horn and Coker on my Insiders Dynasty Best Ball League, in which I'm playing you this week, JJ.
Well, I hope you beat me because I'm not ready to win yet. My team's actually not that bad in that league, though.
Yeah, no, it's not that bad, but I showed you my team. It's loaded.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I took over an orphan in that.
Yeah.
League.
Well, I mean,
it's not like I built that thing
3 or 4 years ago. But if you look at my team,
it's not the most active league in the world. It's not
because it's a best ball team. But if you look at my team, it's got
those teams quickly.
Would you calm down so I can give you some praise just for a
Okay,
second.
Here we go.
If you look at my team, it's got JJ's Paul Prince all over it though. It's got Puka, it's got Amarian Hampton, Egbuka, Romadunze, Brian Thomas Jr. I'm not sure if you want to take credit for that. But all these guys.
I'll take credit. I should take credit for Brian Thomas Jr. and probably not a Dunze. I was just at market with a Dunze.
Yeah. But I was thinking about trading him this year.
I mean, in Dynasty. I liked him this year in redraft. Sorry.
Yeah. But I was thinking about trading him in this year, and I was like, why not have both Egbuka and a Dunze?
Yeah, and why not? You know what's crazy is that whole thing, right? That it's just insane that they're both
nuclear.
top 10 wide receivers in Dynasty now. Like, I couldn't have asked for a better outcome than that.
Yeah.
Because then we're all like, okay, we see all of these outcomes. Like, we see the great outcome happening for Dunze, but we see the process work from an Egbuka standpoint. Like, the 90th percentile is hitting for both of them.
And the guy you traded a Dunze to should be thanking you because he might not have picked Egbuka in that spot.
That's right. It's
all
all
worked
good.
out for everybody.
It's
literally
all gravy, baby.
Everybody. All right. You've already talked about Michael Carter. You've already talked about Sean Tucker. You have not talked about this guy yet. So we talk about him a lot in the waiver wire show, the Q&A show, and the Discord. Jaden Blue.
He's going to play this. I mean, he's going to dress this week.
Yeah. We'll see if he plays.
Yeah, I haven't seen the status update officially on Miles Sanders if he's officially out or not. If he's officially out and not going to play, then Jaden Blue could actually just see some work in this game. And look, anytime there is an electric with the ball in his hands kind of player, and they're a rookie, and there's a little bit of hype behind them, I want to have them stashed because just a couple plays. Remember Keaton Mitchell? Like a couple plays, all of a sudden they're the hot waiver ad. And I'm not saying that they become an RB2 or better in fantasy. I'm saying you just want to add value to your fantasy team. And this is one way of doing that right now.
These two guys also mentioned earlier this week on the pod, Isaiah Bond, who is the Cleveland just got for free, and Elijah Arroyo, the tight end for the Seahawks.
Yeah, so Isaiah Bond was someone that the Zap model actually liked him.
Yeah,
but he had off the field stuff, so he went undrafted. He's a solid player who can get down the field. I'm not expecting, a lot of production from him this week with Cedric Tillman out, but we could see production down the line because Dylan Gabriel gets more reps and Cedric Tillman is now, I think he's officially on IR. And so Bond will be their wide receiver too, with him on IR. So he should be added in like, 12 plus leagues with like 7 or so bench spots. He's not like a absolute must. And then Elijah Arroyo, he's just been seeing more work. Like this past week, he saw a lot more work in that Seattle offense. I think it was like a 17% target share, 61% route share. Anytime you get a good rookie tight end pass catcher, seeing more and more work, they should be on your radar. So that's just sort of a trend play with Elijah Arroyo.
I need to look in the Scott Fishbowl, man, to see if Bond is still there because he is the lead punt returner and kickoff returner.
Yeah, but this is different, Scott. This is different for Scott Fishbowl this year.
I thought kick return yards were a thing.
That was last year.
I thought it was this year as well. Maybe it's not.
By the way, I might win Scott Fishbowl.
Good for you because I am not winning it.
I have Puka. I have Puka and CMC on my Scott Fishbowl team.
I've got Puka as well, and I've also got. No, I don't have Puka. I have Egbuka. Sorry, not Puka. Egbuka, Kyron Williams, Devontae Adams, and Stephon Diggs, who is kind of like the flavor of the week for late round this week.
Yeah, I mean, look, perspectives. James Coe said that Stephon Diggs was going to be the wide receiver one this week. Can I just share with you guys my Scott Fishbowl team so that you guys can see how real I am about winning this? Like I could win Scott Fishbowl.
For those that don't know, also, this is how JJ and I's meetings go too. Like we talk probably during the season, like 20% business. 80% is just us showing each other our fantasy teams.
Yeah, we're just roster baiting is just what.
That's what I say. All right. Yeah, show us your team.
All right, here's the team. You ready?
Yeah.
Puka Nacua. And so Scott Fishbowl, you have what, 10 flex spots and then like 2 super flex spots. And it's
Yeah.
weird scoring. It's like points per first down and some carries and stuff like that. But regardless, Puka Nacua, Christian McCaffrey, Woody Marks, Breece Hall, Stephon Diggs. I have Mike Evans on the bench, Jalen Waddle, Cam Scatterbo, Darren Waller, Amarian Hampton, Trevor Lawrence, and Justin Fields.
Gosh.
That team, and I have Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt on the bench.
Yeah.
I have Rashard Smith on the bench. I have Mike Evans on the bench. I have Jawan Jennings on the bench, and I have Brenton Strange on the bench. I'm gonna do it this year. I'm gonna take down the 8,000 team tournament, and I'm calling my shot here in week 5.
There you go. What could go wrong? I've got Russell Wilson on the bench, Najee Harris on the bench, George Kittle on the bench.
I mean, Kittle's good. Why are you putting Kittle with Najee and Russ?
Because they're not going to be playing. I mean, Kittle will come back. Terry McLaurin on the bench.
I mean, that's
it's
good.
just that's what I'm saying. It's not good because those guys aren't playing.
But every week when I look at the projection on Sleeper,
yeah,
I'm projected to score like 50 more points than any other team in the league.
Oh my gosh.
Like legitimately,
we just lost half our viewers, but it's great that because it's like, what's your projected total each way? Like 250?
No, 370.
Oh my gosh.
Right now, dude, my projected total for this week is 366 points right now.
Those are the always leagues you just check just to feel good about yourself.
Yeah, if I'm losing other leagues, I'm just going to go straight to my SFB team.
Yeah. My league, I'm projected for 285 points this week. So.
Right. So I'm projected to score 100 more points. I already got 100 points from Puka and CMC.
All right. So speaking of guys or teams that projected to score 100 or more points, Vegas plays Tennessee next week.
Yeah. So Vegas is
your look ahead waiver wire.
Look ahead defense because they get Tennessee.
Okay. All right. Let's get on to the. I didn't need a sound effect. Sorry. Let's get on to the quad box for this week as we wrap up the show. Last week was a pretty good quad box. This week we're looking to go even better. So I'll take again some suggestions from the chat.
You go first.
Yeah, I'll take some suggestions from the chat, and I will go with this Bills Patriots.
Oh, I was gonna go Bills Patriots.
Then why didn't you go first?
Because I was being friendly.
No, you wanted to see you wanted to kind of see all the games that were available.
No. Go Bills Patriots. I have a better one.
Okay, Bills Patriots, because we just talked about Diggs. You got Vrabel on Sunday Night Football. You got the Bills on the other side. You know, it's a kind of a rivalry game. Like this will be a fun game. So I'm going to go Bills Patriots for my.
I'm going the actual 101, which is Chargers Commanders. I'm actually surprised that Chargers Commanders doesn't have a higher total than the other two games.
Jeez.
Offensive line stuff. You know what? As you do that, I'll do Chargers Commanders.
Okay. Bills versus Patriots. Okay. We have a Chargers Commanders. That seems like that's what people want. Okay, let's expand this box so people can see this. All right, so we've got Chargers Commanders, Bills Patriots. Man, I almost want to go. Yeah, I'll do it. I'll go Jags and Chiefs.
Oh my gosh, you and the Chiefs.
Are you not excited about this game? You gave credit to Patrick Mahomes this week.
Yeah, he's been great this year.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, go ahead. Chiefs, Jags.
That'll be a fun game though, right?
That's fine. That's not nearly as egregious as Chiefs Giants.
I mean, the other ones, they're pretty there's
bad. One more, there's two more that I like that we could have gone, I think.
Okay. So
you'll go Jags Chiefs.
Yeah.
So I think that one of them we could have gone is Bucks Seahawks.
Yeah, I almost did that. You know
what I'm going to do instead?
You go Dolphins Panthers.
I'm going Cowboys Jets.
Yeah, that was another one.
Cowboys Jets has a chance to just be fun.
Any game the Cowboys are playing this year has it.
And then you
has
get
a
Justin
chance to
Fields
be
on the other
fun.
side where he just does crazy stuff all the time. Yeah,
Yeah.
give me that game.
I don't know, JJ. Look to the very bottom. And I'm saying this for two reasons. The Vikings play the Browns Sunday, 9:30 a.m. on the NFL Network. First, the late round made its appearance in the NFL Network starting yesterday
Yeah.
as our partnership. As
Check that bottom line, folks.
yeah,
That bottom
check
ticker.
that ticker, that scroller. So we're on there now. The other thing is, JJ, I want just to alert you to the
location of
Browns
the game?
playing at home.
Yeah.
They're home dogs this week. Isn't that crazy?
Can I just make a statement?
Yeah, please.
I'm fully aware that on Tuesday's 15 transaction show, I said the Browns were going to be playing at home.
Yeah,
And so I went on Twitter
Yeah.
yesterday and I made a statement. I put a note on there from my phone. Should I read it really quick so people are aware?
It's a long note, but you can.
I'll read it. I'll read it.
Okay.
At the top, it just says, "I'm sorry." That's the headline. And I said, I learned it, and this is me coming from my heart. I learned at a young age that it's always better to own your mistakes than to run away from them. So here I am owning a very costly mistake. On Tuesday's 15 transactions episode, I did something that I deeply regret. I mentioned that I like the Browns as a streaming defense, and when giving the logic for the take, I said that Cleveland would be playing at home. That was wrong, and I apologize. The targeted harassment stemming from that mistake is understandable. How could a fantasy football analyst who lives in his mom's basement not remember that the Browns are playing in London? Does he even watch the games? What else does he know? That didn't come out very well. What else doesn't he know? I know I'll have to work hard to gain back your trust, but I'm willing to put in that work. I promise this will only make me a better analyst. No, it will make me a better man.
Yeah.
With love, JJ.
People took this serious, JJ, because you didn't use the sarcasm font.
I cannot even believe how many people I've gotten emails from people saying, keep up keep your head up, like keep up the great work. And I appreciate all those emails.
Yeah.
Genuinely appreciate them. Like it's so kind that people do that kind of thing. But I promise you guys, I'm making fun of myself for missing and messing that up because I messed that up. I said they were playing at home. And I got like 20 to 30 people hitting me up being like, they're not playing at home, buddy. Someone called me pal in a comment saying, hey, pal, they're playing in London. And so I just figured I'd make fun of myself and put that down.
I saw Andy from the Ballers saying that he quoted it with I stand with JJ.
Yeah.
I mean, Kyle wants to know how viral did it go? How many likes does it have?
It currently has 3,200 likes. And
that's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, for something that niche, yeah. My favorite part is when because there's just like mean people on Twitter and stuff like that's their whole being on social media, just being
miserable,
S posting and just saying horrible things. And so they're responding and they're making fun of me for being soft.
Yeah,
for sending that, thinking that it's a serious note. And it's just so funny that the trolls are that like it just goes to show that trolls are absolute morons.
Yeah. Agreed. All right. T's and P's for JJ. That was what Sean says. Holy cow. Kyle said, I don't think he's talking about Ben and Jerry's, but if so, need more cow bench. Yeah. And I think that will do it for the show. So again, thank you for joining us. Make sure that you are subscribed to our YouTube. That helps out a lot. Like, comment on the video, what you like, what you don't like. But easy on the don't like stuff. And then also, JJ, today we had the mailbag episode. We had we're talking about Friday. We had the mailbag episode. We had perspectives, and we just want everyone to have a great week this week.
Yeah, I'm going to Disney on Ice tomorrow.
Do you know that's like the one thing I never put my foot down? I don't think we've talked about this.
It's a fun time.
I know, but like we had just been to Disney. I never tell my wife no. Like I'm pretty much like, yeah, you want to do this? Yeah, you do it. The girls we had just gone to Disney. And so she was like, yeah, I think we're going to go to Disney on Ice. Like we went to for fall break and then spring break or one of the two. But 4 or 5 months later, she wanted to go Disney on Ice. Like, we just spent an exorbitant amount of money at Disney. So that was like she always tells me, that's the one thing I've put my foot down. And do you know what happened? Last year, they went to Disney on Ice.
Without you?
Yeah.
Wow.
and it was mid.
No, it's great. It's a great time. CJ's
Well,
looking forward to seeing Moana. And
I
now-
know, but the girls had already kind of grown up a little bit. But anyways, if you go to, I still stand by this. If you go to Disney, you don't need to go to Disney on Ice.
You can go
Like
to
that
Disney.
close together.
Sean says they sell beer. Yes, they sell alcohol.
Oh my gosh.
But I'm not going to drink. It's at like 10:30 in the morning.
you responded so quickly though with the affirmation.
I've never like
Two
I've
for
never
one
had a
specials
sip of-
before 12.
I've never had a sip of alcohol at Disney on Ice. Okay.
There you go.
I'm just saying it's a
Put
good
it in his
time.
bio. Yeah.
It's gonna be great. Just jamming with the fam, listening to some tunes, some Disney tunes, and watching some ice skating. It's great.
Yeah. I think it's great too.
Yeah.
It just
sure.
for what the tickets cost, I was not thrilled that was like what they wanted to do when we had just spent all this money on like going to Disney.
Sure. Yeah. We get it. We get it. You're a bad dad.
All right. Well, on behalf of JJ, I'm David, and we appreciate you all. We love you all, and we'll see you next time here on the Late Round Fantasy Football Show, sponsored by DraftKings. Peace.
Thank you.